Okay, so I lose, and I appeal it. Now it's going to be held in Superior Court, and in the Superior Court, by the way, they're not limited to the $5,000 judgment anymore. Okay, I've got a notice. Well, anyways, they're not limited to the $5,000 judgment anymore. They can do whatever they want. And the judge comes in and he goes, you know, this in the notice it says this is a new trial. It doesn't rely on what occurred at the lower trial. In other words, it's supposed to be a new trial by a new judge that doesn't know. In other words, you have a right to an impartial trial. To be impartial, the judge has to not know about what happened before. He's supposed to rely this new trial, this appeal, which is supposed to be a new trial, on what you present. So she comes in there and she starts right off with her same, you know, this time I've got them like an 8-page thing on the conflict of interest, much more, including much more of the specifics that I've related in the previous 2 DVDs. It's still on, yeah it is. Okay. So anyways, you know, goes very, you know, in depth into the conflict of interest, you know, and these judges all, matter of fact, there is a, I did a little looking into the judicial canons, attorney canons, and, you know, what do they call it, you know, how you're supposed to act and perform in this business. And it even says right in there, it is known that judges will protect judges. It is known, and more needs to be done. Well, I'm going to tell you what the more is. Camera on the judge. Judge doesn't open in his mouth unless there's a motion by a party. You know, it should be one person against the other, not one person against whichever judge, whichever party the attorney has better connected with the judge. Judges need to not be able to raise objections unless it's raised by either party. They need to stay impartial. There needs to be a camera on a judge and a DVD put out at any time during the trial so that a person can review, you know, for instance, a jury, and I want the camera from the direction of the jury on the judge, one on any prosecutors that are going to produce. Prosecutors are nothing but attorneys that are going to be protected by the judges. That's what, you know, there is no reason for them not to falsify evidence. Not only in this kind of a case, but their criminal cases. There is no reason for them not to falsify, for them not to destroy evidence as documented in cases against me, fabricate evidence, destroy it, submit false evidence, perjure, get multiple witnesses to agree on certain perjuries. There's nothing to prevent them doing it. Not only is there nothing to prevent them, it's encouraged. Because if somebody tries to impeach these kinds of frauds, the judge is automatically, as taught in law school, are going to jump right in and aid and abet this fraud. Now we've got to put a stop to it, and the way you put a stop to it is get rid of these stenographer bullshit skis, because, you know, and you get rid of these audio tapes and you put in a videotape so anybody that gets screwed in court can take their videotape, put it on YouTube or on the internet, and let the rest of the public show what a bunch of criminals have been developed here, have festered here, have fermented here by the lack of this being a true court of record per our current electronic capabilities. And ask yourself, most importantly, why this hasn't been done, and the reason is your legislative and executive branches, which are supposed to be providing the oversight, are composed of the same attorneys from the same cloth, out of the same law schools, operating under the same promises of protections and deliveries of protection, except they're engaged in redistributing your taxes to the people that provide them campaign financing. Campaign financing, the court has held, is a right to access to the court and a freedom of speech, and it's neither what it is. It's a right to deny you access to the court by closing the ears of those they pay off to do their business instead of yours. Here's what you got, folks. You know, we're trying to ship democracy to other countries. We don't have democracy. The only time we have democracy is on election day. After that's republic. We never go over to these foreign countries and say, you know, we want to give you republic. We're a republic. This isn't a democracy. We elect our representatives who are supposed to be working for us, and then we allow campaign financing. This is the result of campaign financing. It goes on because attorneys are not legislators would be afraid to do anything about this criminal activity because it would inhibit the means by which they're kind. They are gelled in law school. They come out of law school. Look back at what these attorneys just out of law school said. You know, we have as much right to conduct frauds against the public as there any other person in business. Nobody in business has a right to conduct frauds against the public. Huh? You mean you have as much, what they mean is they have as much right to conduct frauds as any person in business who is represented by an attorney who can connect with a judge and protect their racketeering against us. Now, what this is about is conflict of interest, is whether there's a conflict of interest to having judges who are nothing but a bunch of robed attorneys because they have already forfeit under this collusion and conspiracy to violate our rights under constitutions as consistently demonstrated, even the last 2 times I've been here. My rights to present relevant evidence, my right to develop relevant, time to develop my relevant evidence. You know, I'm doing this, today's the 29th or 30th, not even sure which, and what is it? Whatever it is. Yeah, I don't even know. But anyways, you know, this is days before trial and I'm doing it. Now I got to go edit this. It takes time. I've got to put it into in a laptop that I purchased special for this process, and then I've got to make it a presentable document, and then try to compress it to minimize the time it takes from the court. I also have I've just got another person who's going to go in a little bit, hopefully, into how we went from a constitutional judiciary, which is supposed to, in other words, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, what they are is they are conditions of authority. In other words, when you violate these conditions, you forfeit right on the head your right to conduct any authority. You know what these have, you know what the difference, you talk about freedom. You know what freedom is? Freedom is not being on the other side of the bars, and who controls the bars? These people right here and the other parts of the Superior Court. If you don't have your rights, if you don't, you can have the rights under the Bill of Rights, but they ain't going to do you a damn bit of good if the judges are engaged in a collusion and conspiracy to violate those rights, which I have documented in every damn court now. Every court. Back then, up through now. Hello? You think you're free? You're not free. They just haven't, met a guy from a bar that he bartends in his bar where attorneys frequent, somewhere downtown, 5th and B or something like that. I'm definitely going to visit next Halloween, if not sooner. Anyways, he says, well, the way they put it is a population of sheep deserves a government of wolves. Well, babies, that's what you got. And I ain't fucking putting up with what level of freedom you will accept. I do not accept this bullshit. This court is bullshit. The judges are bullshit. They are racketeering against you. They do it brazenly and blatantly. It's in violation of all of your rights under Constitution. In other words, not only do I have a right to present evidence, I have a right to have it considered by an impartial person. These people are not impartial. They are partial to the racketeering it takes to feed all of their kind upon you and me. And this shit's going to cease.